welcome to this new edition of your weekly program, The Health Magazine, devoted this time to one of the common disorders that affect many people's reading, writing, and spelling capabilities. This disorder is commonly known under the name of dyslexia. So what is the definition of dyslexia? Dyslexia is a learning disorder that affects the people's ability to read, spell, write, and speak. Kids who suffer from it are often smart and hardworking, but they have troubles connecting the letters they see to the sounds those letters make. Also called reading disability, dyslexia affects areas of the brain that process language. About 5% to 10% of world's population have some symptoms of dyslexia, such as slow reading, trouble spelling, or mixing up words. Adults can have this learning disorder as well. Some people are diagnosed early in life, others don't realize they have dyslexia until they get older. Kids with dyslexia often have normal vision and are just as smart as their peers, but they struggle more in school because it takes them longer to read. Trouble processing words can also make it hard to spell, write, and speak clearly. What causes dyslexia? It's linked to genes, which is why the condition often runs in families. You're more likely to have dyslexia if your parents, siblings, or other family members have it. The condition stems from differences in parts of the brain that process language. Imaging scans in people with dyslexia show that areas of the brain that should be active when a person reads don't work properly. When children learn to read, they first figure out what sound each letter makes. Then they learn how to put those sounds in order to form words. Finally, they have to figure out what those words mean. For kids who have dyslexia, the brain has a hard time connecting letters to the sounds they make, and then blending those sounds into words. So to someone with dyslexia, the word cat might read as duck because of the mix-up. Reading can be a slow and difficult process. Dyslexia is different for everyone. Some people have a mild form that they eventually learn how to manage. Others have a little more trouble overcoming it. Even if children aren't able to fully outgrow dyslexia, they can still go to college and succeed in life. People with dyslexia have normal intelligence and usually have normal vision. Most children with dyslexia can succeed in school with tutoring or a specialized education program. Emotional support also plays an important role. Though there is no cure for dyslexia, early assessment and intervention result in the best outcome. Sometimes dyslexia goes undiagnosed for years and isn't recognized until adulthood, but it's never too late to seek help. Dyslexia can be broken down into different subtypes, but there is no official list of dyslexia types because they can be classified in different ways. However, the following categories are sometimes used. Phonological dyslexia. The person has difficulty breaking down words into smaller units, making it hard to match sounds with a written form. This is also known as dysphonetic dyslexia or auditory dyslexia. Surface dyslexia. The person cannot recognize a word by sight, making words hard to remember and learn. This is sometimes called dyseidetic dyslexia or visual dyslexia. Rapid naming deficit. The person cannot quickly name a letter or number when they see it. Double deficit dyslexia. The person finds it hard to isolate sounds, also to name letters and numbers. Visual dyslexia. The person has an unusual visual experience when looking at words, although this can overlap with surface dyslexia. Sometimes people refer to directional dyslexia, meaning it is difficult to tell left from right. This is a common feature of dyslexia, but it is not a type. If a person has difficulty with math learning, the correct term for this is dyscalculia. It is not dyslexia. Now, what are the symptoms of dyslexia? Signs of dyslexia can be difficult to recognize before your child enters school, but some early clues may indicate a problem. Once your child reaches school age, your child's teacher may be the first to notice a problem. Severity varies, but the condition often becomes apparent as a child starts learning to read. Before school, signs that a young child may be at risk of dyslexia include late talking, learning new words slowly, problems forming words correctly, such as reversing sounds in words or confusing words that sound alike. problems remembering or naming letters, numbers, and colors, difficulty learning nursery rhymes or playing rhyming games. School age. Once your child is in school, dyslexia signs and symptoms may become more apparent, including reading well below the expected level for age, problems processing and understanding what he or she hears, difficulty finding the right word or forming answers to questions, problems remembering the sequence of things, difficulty seeing and occasionally hearing similarities and differences in letters and words, inability to sound out the pronunciation of an unfamiliar word, difficulty spelling, spending an unusually long time completing tasks that involve reading or writing, and avoiding activities that involve reading. Teens and adults. Dyslexia signs in teens and adults are similar to those in children. Some common dyslexia signs and symptoms in teens and adults include difficulty reading, including reading aloud, slow and labor-intensive reading and writing, problem spelling, avoiding activities that involve reading, mispronouncing names or words, or problems retrieving words, trouble understanding jokes or expressions that have a meaning not easy to understand from the specific word, such as piece of cake meaning easy, spending an unusually long time completing tasks that involve reading or writing, difficulty summarizing a story, trouble learning a foreign language, difficulty memorizing, difficulty doing math problems. Now, when to see a doctor. Though most of children are ready to learn reading by kindergarten or first grade, children with dyslexia often can't grasp the basics of reading by that time. Talk with your doctor if your child's reading level is below what's expected for his or her age, or if you notice other signs of dyslexia. When dyslexia goes undiagnosed and untreated, childhood reading difficulties continue into adulthood. Causes. Dyslexia tends to run in families. It appears to be linked to certain genes that affect how the brain processes reading and languages, as well as risk factors in the environment. What are the risk factors? Dyslexia risk factors include a family history of dyslexia or other learning disabilities, premature birth or low birth weight, exposure during pregnancy to nicotine, drugs, alcohol, or infection that may alter brain development in the fetus, individual differences in the parts of the brain that enable reading complications. Dyslexia can lead to a number of problems, including trouble learning because reading is a skill basic to most other school subjects. A child with dyslexia is at a disadvantage in most classes and may have trouble keeping up with peers. Social problems. Left untreated, dyslexia may lead to low self-esteem, behavior problems, anxiety, aggression, and withdrawal from friends, parents, and teachers. Problems as adults. The inability to read and comprehend can prevent a child from reaching his or her potential as a child grows up. This can have long-term educational, social, and economic consequences. Children who have dyslexia are at increased risk of having attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD and vice versa. ADHD can cause difficulty sustaining attention as well as hyperactivity and impulsive behavior, which can make dyslexia harder to treat. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of your weekly program, The Health Magazine. Don't forget to join us next week on Radio Algeria International for a new edition with a new health subject to deal with.
إذاعة الجزائر الدولية